Hello, my name is Daniel.
DELLA.
Karena.
CUDDEN.
In this video, we will be discussing Rent-A-Bum, a player in the passenger car rental and hiring industry in Australia. We will do so by critically assessing the internal environment to evaluate core competencies.
The external environment, including the attractiveness of the industry and the key competitors.
And their business level strategy.
Overall, our objective is to use various academic theory and industry research to determine whether Rent-A-Bum likely has a competitive advantage.
For the Rent-A-Bum, firstly, let's talk about the history. Rent-A-Bum was especially in Melbourne in 1979 with a small fleet of 6 cars. They now have 12 locations across 3 states in Australia, offering a fleet of 800 cars. Rent-A-Bum prides itself on offering the lowest price for vehicle hire in Australia, through the range of lower luxury models compared to their competitors in the passenger car rental and hiring industry in Australia.
Rent-A-Bum has a range of resources at their disposal. These include the tangible, such as their fleet of 800 hire cars and a number of metropolitan locations across 3 states, as well as the intangible, which include their reputation, which has been developed over the last 40 years, and the employee and customer service skills that they are able to offer.
So according to IBIS World, there's external key factors that drive the industry for passenger car rental and hiring in Australia. One of them is continued growth in domestic tourism visitors, which drives the industry.
Rent-A-Bum has a few key capabilities, particularly in regard to their low pricing structure and their ability to provide rental cars from a range of convenient locations. Rent-A-Bum is also capable of providing reliable and consistent products and services. This is thanks to their business structure, which we will discuss later in this presentation. Core competencies are defined by Hansen, Hitt, Ireland and Hoskinson as capabilities which serve as a source of competitive advantage. Sometimes identifying a core competency requires combining a range of capabilities. With regard to Rent-A-Bum, combining their capabilities would result in a competency which highlights their ability to leverage their reputation in order to provide reliable yet affordable rental cars at a variety of convenient metropolitan locations. However, before we can label this a core competency, we must check it against REN. That is it valuable, rare, inimitable, and non-substitutable? Well, first of all, yes, it is valuable, but is it rare? To an extent. While there are similar product offerings available, Rent-A-Bum's choice to provide a low-quality car is rather unique. This choice, however, would not be difficult for competitors to replicate, and it's therefore not inimitable. And finally, there are substitute options outside the car rental industry, such as public transport. For the passenger car rental and hiring industry within Australia, IBIS World has identified a range of key success factors. These include the production of premium quality goods and services, as well as being part of a franchise chain. As such, it's assumed that car rental firms that differentiate themselves by offering a better quality or premium product are more likely to generate higher margins and are therefore more likely to be successful. So too are those that increase their exposure to potential clients through a franchise network or a range of locations. Thus, we have produced a strategic group map for this industry based on the quality of cars offered and the number of locations within Australia. Distribution within this industry is rather complex, as the major player accounts for just 10% of market share. In fact, according to IBIS World, 74.4% of the market share is made up of other. This highlights the existence of a vast number of smaller firms operating within the industry. For instance, a company by the name of Spend Less Car Rentals, which poses very direct competition to Rent-A-Bum, with 5 and 12 stores respectively, in similar geographic locations and with a similarly low quality product offering. Therefore, the point of this map is to point out that when taking into account just the major players within the industry, Rent-A-Bomb appears to have identified a pocket of relatively low competition within the industry. However, when you start to add in just a few of these smaller firms, you start to see that the area in which Rent-A-Bomb exists is very cluttered, and therefore quite competitive.
So, in order to understand the external environment even more, we can use Porter's 5 forces. Porter's 5 forces is a model that analyzes 5 competitive forces that shapes every industry. The model is commonly used to understand the profitability and the strength and the weaknesses for every industry. In this presentation, Porter's model can be used to understand the forces that shapes the industry what Rent-A-Bomb is currently in. And the Porter's 5 forces are barriers of entry, the power of suppliers, the power of buyers, threat of substitute products, rivalry between competitors. So to start with is the barriers of entry, which is considered medium. According to Porter, there's 7 different reasons here to be made for barriers of entry. Here is the high capital requirement and the low customer switching cost. The high capital requirement is because of the capital needed in order to buy your cars and start a fleet needed with a certain amount of range for the customers. Low customer switching costs. This is because of the product is standardized and you can get it anywhere, so you can get it at a different rental company. So it's easier for a customer to switch to another company. This means that barriers of entry is medium and it's steady. So moving on to threat of substitute products, here we have public transport, taxi and Uber. We also have a company called Drive My Car, for example, and there is a company which has developed software which enables private people to rent out their car to another private person. So that means that they are a substitute for going to the industry called car rental in this case. To moving on to the powers of suppliers, the power of suppliers is considered low. This is because of there are different cars and different brands, but it isn't a specific brand loyalty in many of the companies in the industry. That means that it's a big range of car and different types, so you can get it from a different supplier easily, which makes the supplier's power low. The powers of buyers is though considered high. This is not because of there are a lot of buyers, but the product is standardized and differentiated, so you can get it somewhere else instead. And there are, as I said before, a low switching cost in changing vendors. The rivalry between competitors is medium, but is increasing. There is numbers of competitors who has the equal size and power in the industry. There is a possibility or is a price competition, and you are targeting here this same customers. Though there are companies which goes premium, they basically have the same basic car, so it can be considered they are aiming towards the same kind of customer. And on top of this is there is a low growth in the industry. This has been in the last couple of years, which means that it's not that attractive to get into. So, to summarize this, according to the 5 forces, there are mainly two causes that makes it not so attractive to get into the business industry. First of all, it's mainly because of the rivalry between the existing competitors and the substitute, which and the growth in the business. These are the three.
Rent-A-Bomb operates with a couple distinct business goals which support their overall strategy. They are a focus on offering a lower price point and offering a reliable and consistent service across all their branches. The goal of affordability of their service over competition can be seen in their business level strategy, which I will now discuss. According to Porter's model of generic business strategies, there are main strategies which business utilize in their model to attempt to achieve a competitive advantage. These lie on an axis of cost versus differentiation and broad versus narrow strategy approach. Within Porter's model, Rent-A-Bomb undertakes a narrow, low-cost approach, which is a focused strategy, allowing them to appeal to a niche in the passenger car rental and hiring industry in Australia. Rent-A-Bomb employs a focused, low-cost strategy in their overall business approach. It is supported by their internal structure. They have a main base in Melbourne with a small number of locations around Australia. This allows them to maintain control of all branches and maintain the consistency and reliability, which is a strong capability of their business design. Rent-A-Bomb operates in an established, highly competitive industry where competition focuses on strategies, offering quality models at convenient locations, which allows them to charge higher prices. Rent-A-Bomb appeals to a niche in their chosen industry, where no other company offers the same range of older model cars at lower prices than standard. Although we would not consider this a strong enough strategy to achieve a sustainable competitive advantage in the industry, adopting such a narrow, low-cost strategy does indeed appeal to a small segment of the market, mostly domestic tourism, and allows them to achieve a temporary competitive advantage. Rent-A-Bomb lacks the core capabilities in their internal environment to sustain this competitive advantage, as although their low-cost approach is valuable, it could be replicated by other companies with larger buying power and ability to achieve economies of scale. However, given that competition chooses not to take this approach, Rent-A-Bomb is able to attract a distinct customer segment, mostly in the tourism industry. Rent-A-Bomb is an example of a small player in a large established market who competes with a focused low-cost approach and attempts to support its strategy within both its internal and external environments, which is to an extent successful.